What's up, wrestling fans, trading card collectors? Welcome to another episode of Wrestling with Cards. Today we're talking WCW 1995 cards that we've been continuing in this series, but today they've broken it down into famous holds and adversaries. It's about to get really weird. Stick around and check it out. And here we go, time to get weird. Card number 56, the Atomic Leg Drop. This is actually a very cool card. This is wrestling right here. You've got two of the biggest names in pro wrestling history. Hogan dropping the big leg on a prone Ric Flair. Just a classic shot. Classic move. Basic, but it works. And these two are just two of the biggest names in pro wrestling. Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, Hogan's manager, has seen the Hulkster's Atomic Leg Drop thousands of times. Some he cheered, some he jeered, as they were against Matt Mahler's he managed at the time, regardless. When the Hulkster hits the ropes for momentum and then comes crashing down on the opponent, when it all comes crashing down, that song, yeah, it's all over. Hogan approaches his prone opponent, jumps in the air, and then lands with the right leg seemingly crushing the foe's face. Card number 57, Scorpion Deathlock. Now, I'm really not the biggest fan of this card. Alright, let's start looking at some things. You gotta love Sting, and you gotta love the Scorpion Deathlock. It's awesome. That being said, just not a fan of this card. I think what they're trying to go for here. This is the Moves series that they're talking about. So they're trying to possibly show the torque on the body that the move presents. But I just don't know that the shot works. I mean, you've got Sting with his face paint all worn off. And I can't quite make out who the opponent is. So it's not that impressive. I mean, the last card, we had one of the biggest names dropping the leg on one of the biggest names. Here we've got, is that Muda? Is that Butcher? Is that Joe Blow from the Quickie Mart down the street that they just put in gear? I don't know. We just don't know. But love Sting, just not a fan of this card. Sting was a rookie sensation in 87 when he had his first trip to wrestle in Japan. He didn't return with any traditional souvenirs such as kimonos. Instead, he arrived in America with the Scorpion Deathlock, a finishing hold that has left many a wrestler reeling in pain when applied. As only Sting can do, intertwining his legs with an opponent, a submission is often only seconds away, regardless of the opponent's size. I do like how they're kind of explaining the move on here, and for the time, maybe you're a kid, you don't understand what the move is doing, so you pick these cards up and it explains it. So, nice touch. Card number 58, the Powerbomb. Well, that's not a power bomb. Now this is a WCW card if I have ever seen one. I'm surprised they don't also have Dave Sullivan in this picture, because why not? It's WCW. Clearly this is a messed up card. If you're a wrestling fan, you know what a power bomb is. And on top of that, the Vader bomb is his finisher. So you'd think they would get a shot of him doing his finisher. Hence, famous holds series in these cards. I don't know what's going on. This picture is clearly not showing that. Maybe they should have just named this card the Vader Elbow Smash or something. I don't know, but something more accurate. Vader's 452-pound behemoth who uses wrestlers as ragdolls. That's true. His favorite pastime is punishing them with the most vicious move in wrestling. The moves, the Vader repertoire, especially the powerbomb, are simply awesome, said WCW Commissioner Nick Bockwinkel. In it, Vader slams an already bewildered opponent onto the mat on his back. Yeah, he's not slamming him there, so I don't know what's going on. About 7 feet in the air, and Vader adds his weight for extra impact. Okay, way to go, WCW. Card number 59, the Bulldog. Okay, well, here we go. A little bit of a typical WCW card again. A little bit of an error. I guess at least this card is closer to being accurate. Dustin's doing the Bulldog as his finisher during this time, and it was great in my opinion, and I love Dustin Rhodes during this time. Also, cool Super Brawl banner in the background. I miss banners. That's awesome. Instead of all the crazy lights and everything, just put the banner up. It's super old school. Anyhow, this is more like a clothesline, or possibly like a botched, like maybe he was coming from the wrong angle, they didn't communicate or something. Not sure, but not a Bulldog. Again, inaccurate. At least the shot isn't bad, though. Dustin flying around in his cool ring jacket, taking on the Blacktop Bully here. What I will call the King of the Road feud, if you guys remember me talking about that in previous videos in this series, as well as most people, if you're a WCW fan, you know the King of the Road match and kind of the history behind that and the debacle that it was. I enjoyed it, but if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go back and check it out on the WWE Network or YouTube or wherever you can find it. Right 'em, cowboy. That's what they may say to Dustin Rhodes every time the Austin, Texan native enters the squared circle. And it's Dustin Rhodes' bulldog finisher that has put numerous opponents away. He grabs his opponent in a headlock, sprints across the ring, and then slides onto the ground like a baseball player, and the 1-2-3 isn't too far behind. Card number 60 in the set, and boy is it a doozy. Yes, that's the Butcher, Brutus Beefcake. He's representing the sleeper here, but this is honestly just getting worse and worse. Way to go, WCW. No wonder he went out of business. AKA Brutus Beefcake, supposed to be representing the sleeper, which, let's remember, he did use the sleeper as a finisher in the WWF. But he is clearly not using a sleeper hold here. He's using some kind of like neck nerve lock. See blonde hair, we're just going to go ahead and assume that's Dave Sullivan, and he's doing that too. But I don't know. I'm just not a fan of this card. So let's see what kind of pearls of wisdom they can drop to us about the Butcher. The friend turned foe of Hulk Hogan. Oh, so maybe that's Hogan. We're going to still pretend it's Dave Sullivan. Has perfected the sleeper hold such that because of extreme pressure Butcher applies at his bulging bicep. He's not got his bicep around him. Okay, I'll stop. His prey can begin dozing out within an amazing 10 seconds. Permanent damage follows shortly thereafter if the hold is not relinquished. Card number 61, and these just keep getting worse. Sunset Flip. Here we go again. Typical WCW getting the move wrong in this card set. This is just getting hilarious at this point. This is not a Sunset Flip. Clearly it's a backdrop from Johnny B. Bad to Arn Anderson. I do think it's a cool shot, though. I just can't get over how inaccurate these continue to be with the famous holds, with half of them not even being holds. Yeah, the Sunset Flip, not a hold. Over half of them are not holds. Leg drop, not a hold. Bulldog, not really a hold. Okay, I'll stop. Is that Alex Wright? I don't know. Anyway, cool backdrop of the Super Brawl banner, and just a really cool shot with Arn Anderson upside down. So, cool shot. Not sure it qualifies for what they're trying to do here. Look, it's a bird, it's a plane. No, it's Johnny B. Bad, flying all over his opponents en route to a Sunset Flip. In this finisher, Bad soars over the opponents, often from the top rope, landing right behind a dazed opponent first. He grabs his opponent's legs and eases the momentum, then twists him over for the pin. Sunset Flip is a spectacular move, yet very dangerous because you miss. If you miss, you're at his mercy. Card number 62, Hollywood and Vine. Okay, so a little bit about this. Awesome, totally awesome, that we have another Steve Austin card in this card set. This card isn't terrible. Steve's finisher, the Hollywood and Vine, was kind of like a standing reverse figure 4 leg lock sort of thing. You can actually go search it on YouTube if you want to see it, how it works. In this shot, he's getting ready to apply it to Johnny B. Bad. This card actually makes sense. It's a hold. Hey, way to go, WCW. You knocked this one out of the park. Cocky, self-centered athlete from Hollywood, California, stunning Steve Austin is talented as any in the squared circle, particularly since he perfected the Hollywood and Vine leg lock submission finisher. I don't think anything is ever going to harm my career other than not being able to get the title shots that I deserve, said Steve Austin, who held the U.S. Championship in '94. Kind of a little bit like a shoot interview here. Also, I think his knees started giving out, so it did hold him back a little bit, but haha. 63, Vader Salt. Hey, WCW, you got 2 right. You know what? I keep blaming WCW. Should I be blaming the company cards for this? Let me know in the comments if you've got more information on this. Was this WCW's fault because, they screwed up so much stuff? Or was this card's fault? I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. This card rules. Vader Salt. Unbelievable that a guy this size can do a moonsault. Great shot of Vader actually missing. I think he actually missed more moonsaults than he landed, but hey, it was always a cool visual. Sting rolling out of the way. Speaking of Sting and Vader, what a great feud they had. Great matches. Awesome card. Just the thought of falling victim to the Vader Salt is scary. I agree. Mammoth Mountain Man enjoys beating up opponents, torturing them to no end, and then that certainly includes the Vader Salt, a move as feared as any in the sport. Quick and agile despite his size, Vader climbs the ropes while his lifeless opponent lays in the corner. Vader bounces up and down for added momentum and then splashes down upon his prey. That's actually not true. That's like the corner Vader bomb move thing he would do. Not accurate, but you know what? I'm going to give him a pass because this is just an awesome card. Here we go, card 64, one of the nastiest moves in pro wrestling. Yes, pun intended. The pit stop from the Nasty Boys. Great shot of, wait a minute, talking about shots, is that Dave Sullivan again? He's returned. Dave Sullivan. Great shot. Kind of a silly move, but easy to understand why people didn't want to take it. I mean, pretty sure it might not hurt, but do you want your face shoved in the Nasty Boys' armpits? I don't think so. Probably just throw in the towel right here, to be honest. I don't want anywhere near that, which is why it works. As I said, it's silly, but come on. It's pro wrestling. We're having fun. Dave Sullivan's not having a good time. Also, a lot of people associate the pit stop with the Nasty Boys, even if they only watched wrestling for a short amount of time during this period. I know people who are not diehard wrestling fans, and anytime you mention Nasty Boys, like, oh, you remember the pit stop? So, cool card. With pride, Nasty Boy Jerry Sag says, we don't wear deodorant. There you go. There's another reason why you don't want to take this move. Sag sweats a lot. So does his tag team partner, Brian Knobbs, hence the Nasty Boys pit stop. When one Nasty grabs an opponent by the hair and slams his face directly into a waiting armpit, it's one of the most feared moves in WCW. I agree. Well, or a Vader Salt. They're both, well, you're going to die either way. Even if it does not do true physical harm, it's our intimidation factor because the pits smell pretty ruthless. There you go. See, they're admitting it doesn't hurt, but who wants to take it? Not I. Card 65, Flying Elbow, Macho Man, Randy Savage. Let's take a look at this card, talk about it just a little bit. I think it's disappointing. Here we have one of the biggest stars in pro wrestling doing his finisher. They got that right. And it's an awesome move, yet the shot is terrible. It doesn't look like he's very high in the air, so it's not very intimidating. He's flying, but, I mean, how far is he off the ground? Like, the shot at this angle, to me, just looks terrible. I wish they would have got it from the other direction. Kind of looks more like he's falling or just got pushed off the top turnbuckle or something. Not sure, but a little disappointing. With the opponent dazed, confused, sprawled flat on his back in the center of the ring, Macho Man Randy Savage reaches for the sky for the top elbow drop, leaps and lands on the victim's upper chest elbow first. Countless colossal rivals have fallen victim to Savage's famous flying elbow. Sky's the limit and space is the place when I'm dropping those big elbows, Savage said. Card number 66, Figure 4 leg lock, and man does this card rule. Now we're talking. We've got a famous hold, as the title of this section suggests. Two of the biggest names, not only in WCW, but pro wrestling history. We also have Ric Flair getting back at Hogan from their card in the first part of this video. This card rules, similar to a promo card that was released in this set that is available, but different enough to include it in this series. It's often said that imitation is the greatest form of flattery. And that certainly includes Ric Flair's Figure 4 leg lock. No one performs the torturous leg lock better than the Nature Boy. Although hundreds have tried, Ric Flair's Figure 4 is the best, hands down. And I'm talking from experience, said Macho Man Randy Savage. Pressure Flair applies to the knee. It is said can cripple even the best. Card 67, headlock. Hey, look, it's actually the correct move. Could be worse. Love the shot here. Hacksaw making the traditional hacksaw Jim Duggan crazy face that he's known to do. Oh, and we have Bunkhouse Buck, which we haven't seen in a while. He's got him in a headlock. Featured famous moves with a basic hold like a headlock. I don't know. Just don't get it. But hey, at least the card's accurate, right? Hut, hacksaw. The bearded brawler Jim Duggan has tortured countless foes with his gripping headlock. Wow, intimidating. It's a move that allows him the chance to revel, because I can't read again. The fans cheers while his foe grasps for air. Hacksaw also heard the cheers as a football player. Offensive guard, he signed with the Toronto Argonauts of the Canadian Football League in 1979. Anybody got a Hacksaw Argonauts card? If you got one, let me know in the comments. So this is the point where the card line kind of takes a different turn, and we're going to start talking about adversaries. Kind of the biggest feuds, the guys that hate each other the most in WCW at this time. So we're going to start with Hogan and Flair again. Flair's getting back at Hogan? I don't know. This is from Bash at the Beach. Two of the greatest ever to lace up the boots. We've seen a couple of these cards before with these two, and they've been good. I like this one. Maybe not as good as the other ones, but still cool. Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair for the World Heavyweight Championship. This was the match wrestling fans had been waiting for. The match wrestling fans had waited over 10 years for. It was the match that WCW could pull off. The 94 Bash at the Beach, held July 17th before a star-studded crowd in Orlando Arena, featured the two megastars battling tooth and nail. When it was over, there was a new champion, the immortal Hulk Hogan. Go back and watch that match, very first match that they had. Good stuff. Card number 69. Oh, look at that. We've got Hogan and Flair again, but this time in the salad steel cage. Yep. Going to have their faces grated to salad in that cage. I believe this is from Halloween Havoc. We have the same two guys again in back-to-back cards, which, I don't know about that. But, like I said, these are cool cards, but is this overkill? Nah. Two biggest names. Just keep them going. Make a whole set of Flair and Hogan. I'd be happy with that. This card's even better because of the cage. I also like all the Flair and Hogan cards going back and forth. Now we see Hogan getting an advantage. It's almost like through these cards series, through this card set, they're telling a story between Hogan and Flair during this time. One's getting up on another. Just kind of a, fun note. The war to settle the score between the two greatest superstars of all time. See, even they know it. WCW got something right, so I must be right. Was played out inside a 10-foot-high steel cage. Retirement awaited the loser. Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair, Halloween Havoc 94, Joe Louis Arena in Detroit. Hey, isn't that where Hogan pushed the Giant off the roof and then he came back later in the... I don't know. He'll be remembered as one of the greatest matches ever. Mr. T was the guest referee. Flair's former manager, Sherry, interfered, but it went for naught, and the Hulkster prevailed. Card 70, Hogan and Vader. Wow, what a shot. Here we go again. Great card. Great shot of Hogan and Vader staring each other down. Who's going to give who the business? And this shot also just shows how big Vader is. We know how big Hogan is. Look at Vader standing next to him. I really don't think Vader gets enough credit as being one of the better heels in pro wrestling history, but just my opinion. Man, look at that. Those guys are getting ready to tear it up. Before Super Brawl 5... Oh yeah, I should have said that. This is from Super Brawl. Standing room only crowd of 15,000 at the Baltimore Arena. The immortal Hulk Hogan, volatile Vader, did battle in February 95 for the first time. Ric Flair, in retirement, sat ringside. Vader became the first wrestler ever to kick out of Hulkster's atomic leg drop. And it wouldn't be Vader's day. Flair's interference cost Vader the match. Hogan might have won this battle, but he will not win the war, Vader said. The last card in the Adversaries section... Dustin Rhodes and Arn Anderson? Okay. Well, not what I think of when I think of Adversaries in WCW. Dustin and Arn, yeah. I remember them wrestling, and sure, there's the Horseman and Rhodes family, constant battle. You had Dusty and the Four Horsemen back in the day, and then Dustin. But at this time, I personally don't remember these two wrestling much. Let me know in the comments if you do. I could just slip on my part. Do you remember these two feuding during this time? Let me know. But wow, what a cool shot with the cage. You got the top on the cage, so this had to be during War Games. This had to be maybe one of those Four Horsemen versus everybody else, or possibly with Arn Anderson there. It could have been the Dangerous Alliance, although I don't think so because this is 95. Paul Heyman's already in ECW running that, so probably a Four Horsemen thing. Dustin Rhodes and Arn Anderson in the fall of 94 was a feud for the ages. It pitted the true Texan Dustin, son of legendary Dusty Rhodes, against the bat-stabbing Arn Anderson, proudly known as the dirtiest player in the game. I thought that was Ric Flair. Did he steal that? Copyright infringement. These two brawlers were once friends, but when Anderson showed us true colors, turning on the Rhodes family, which I'm sure he's done like 100 times, the war was on. They eventually battled inside a solid steel cage as part of the 8-man War Games at Fall Brawl. War Games. Such an awesome match. And if you like this video, you want to check out more about WCW and wrestling cards, hit the videos on the screen, and I'll see you there.